All right, hey guys, Kirsten here with another Whole Life Freedom episode. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to just share a little bit about something that was brought up to me the other day when I was on the plane and really thinking about hearing the message that the stewardess gives, the stewards and stewardesses give every single time you take a flight. I think I have never been on a flight where I have not heard the message of put on your mask before you put on the mask of someone else. And, when you're sitting there and you're hearing that for the 100th time or the, 200th time, 300th time, you start thinking, golly, are we ever going to get this? Are we ever going to hear the message of save yourself so that you can help other people? Maybe even not even so that, just before you help someone else, if you're going to, please save yourself first. And, I think about this a lot in health coaching and in the health world. It is so fascinating how long it can take some of us, and myself included, to realize that I am worth taking care of in the midst of helping and taking care of other people. Now, I love helping others. It's been a passion of mine for as long as I can remember. And I really believe in the deep-heartedness of most people who really, truly are not selfish at the core. And we love helping people in need, even if it's not our first MO, even if it's not our first instinct. If there's someone in need, I believe that you're going to go out there and help them. But here's the interesting thing is if I am not healthy enough, if I don't have the emotional capacity to help someone or the physical capacity to help someone, I can't go very far. My boundary lines are very tight and very closed. And that's, it's really, there's something that is wired inside of all of us to help people. But if we don't have that, we start to miss out on something that I think that we're actually wired for. And so I wanted to bring up something that is a kind of a neat way of putting this, and hopefully it's a fun way of thinking about taking care of ourselves. It's more than just taking care of ourselves or even looking at things as good or bad or self-care, which I love the concept of. But what if you start thinking about it in the terms of nourishment? And I really liked this. There's a small group of doctors and scientists that are really starting to find that the more we focus on nourishment, rather than eat this type of food or eat that type of food, but nourishing the cells in our body with the type of nutrients that they need, our bodies begin to automatically heal. They're seeing cancer and type 2 diabetes and heart disease and cholesterol levels and blood pressure and arthritis and asthma and all kinds of things, depression and anxiety start to decrease and for many people be eliminated altogether simply by changing their diet through nourishing their body. And I started to think about that as I was on the plane, listening to that message and going, oh, wow, air is a type of nourishment. When we breathe in, we're nourishing our lungs and our cells with the air that we're made for. And how often do we even stop to think and just take a breath? How good does that feel to do that? To slow down our nervous system, to slow down our breath, and to tell our body that we're okay, we're at peace. And as I started to think about how powerful nourishment in food is, I started to think about how we've really taken the dynamic of food and put them into categories of good and bad foods. And when we do that, there's this kind of primal instinct that starts to take over where we start thinking almost like a child, where we're saying, oh, that's good and that's bad, or and then we start to take it on as our identity. I was good today. I was bad today. And why is that? Why are you bad because you ate a certain kind of food? And I think when we start to take on those kind of behaviors as part of our identity, we really then we believe that we're bad, and our behavior starts to reflect that even more. And I'm not going to go into that a whole lot today, but I want to think about a mental shift that we can make, a mental ascent if we can. If you'll come with me on this for just a minute. What if we started looking at, just take food for example, because we think of food as either good or bad. There's the whole low carb diet. There's the whole high carb diet. There's eat this, don't eat that. These foods are bad. These are off limits. Eat these. But what if we began to start looking at them and going, what would actually be nourishing to me? What would actually be my oxygen mask type of food? And not even oxygen mask, but now what if I took it to a higher level and said, what are the things that will actually give me life? They will actually cause my body to thrive. And when my body thrives, my emotions thrive, my mental state thrives, my brain fog clears, my energy levels are up, and then my spirit is thriving, and I relate with other people. I'm creative. I'm able to move on with my job and my life and my family in greater ways because I'm nourishing myself with these things. And rather than go, oh, look at this donut, is it good or bad? I go, is it going to be nourishing to me? And, in the case of a donut, no, not at all. It doesn't have any nutrients for you, or very few. It offsets, and start going, wow, what can I do to start nourishing myself? There's been a big craze about self-care. And even that, I would say we can all work on growing in, and myself included. But the power of self-care is about nourishing our self, nourishing our soul, our mind, our spirit, our body, in being at peace. We actually thrive when we are in a state of joy, when we're in a state of love, when we're in a state of peace. The chemicals that shoot through our body are powerful. They're made to heal you. And so when we start to do self-care items, that's actually nourishing to us. When we go out and we start being creative, that actually starts to nourish ourselves. And so rather than going, did I have a good day or a bad day? Did I go out and nourish myself? If you look at an action to, here's a choice right before me. Is that going to be nourishing to my soul? Is it going to be nourishing to my spirit? Is it going to be nourishing to my body? And how does that change the way that you perceive things? Your identity is not wrapped up in the actions that you take. Your identity is who you are. And so we remove the idea that good and bad actions can be made who you are. And we start to love ourselves. And I believe that there are ways that we all are good at loving ourselves, and we all have areas where we can grow in. And so listen to the way that that's very differently phrased. I'm good at this, or I can grow at this, right? Rather than I'm good or I'm bad. There's areas of improvement, and there's areas where we're doing great and we can still improve. And so one of the ways that I love kind of connecting the dots on this is looking at one way that you do a good job. What's one area of your life? Maybe it's with your family. Maybe it's with the way, you really protect and guard your sleep. Maybe you are really good at taking care of your nourishment into terms of food. Maybe you're really good at going out and getting some exercise or creativity, or your spiritual life, or maybe you are amazing at getting outside and getting that fresh air and getting your lungs filled with the air that the trees and the grass give. Maybe I could go on. There are many, many areas that we can fill our lives up that are good for us and nourishing for us. But one way that you can really help the areas that you want to grow in is to think about the area that you are good at. Close your eyes for a minute. Go with me on that for just a minute and go, how does it feel? How does my life feel? not just me or when I accomplish that thing, but how does it feel when I actually do that thing? I do it well. I made room in my life for it. So I put on that oxygen mask. I took that time for this. I ate that salad. I took that time with that person. I went and laughed with some friends. I took time for creativity in my life. Maybe you did something that, or you're pretty good at something, and keeping that consistent in your life. And how does that feel? How do other areas of your life feel when you do that regularly? And can you translate that one area into one other area that you want to grow in? A lot of times when we want to grow in our life, we end up going, I need to grow in all these different areas. I need to eat well. I need to exercise daily. I need to start sleeping better. I need to start creating. I need to read more. I need to spend time with my family. I need to laugh more. And we start going overwhelmed, and we go back to the jar of ice cream and just sit on the couch. I am guilty that I'm not a big ice cream fan per se, but I have other areas. If you know me well, you know I love chips. And so that's my area where I'm like, forget it. That's too much. And so the question that you want to really go is not, how can I improve my entire life? But what's one area that I have grace for, and I can actually grow in, and let me focus on that a little bit, and let me translate the feelings and the experience and the success of another area in my life, and start to actually picture that same kind of feeling, that same kind of a success in one area. And so, for example, if I'm really good at exercising, and when I'm consistent with it, when I'm doing it well, I picture how it feels, and my work goes better, my relationships go better, my sleep is better, and my body feels better overall. And let's just say, okay, nourishment with food is where I really want to grow. And so how does the exercise make me feel, and what areas does that actually transform? Okay, so what do I believe about food that maybe I can start taking those same experiences and that same feeling and start bringing it into food? What if I stop looking at it as good and bad, and I start saying, how can I nourish myself with food in a way that's loving, in a way that's exciting, and in a way that actually propels my home life, my sleep life, my body, and the way that it feels, my energy levels, to a way that I'm actually feeling good. And something that is really powerful that I did a lot when I was really struggling at the core of fibromyalgia and thyroid and adrenal fatigue, and my body just was saying, nope, not gonna get out of bed today, is that I would start visualizing and take a picture of where I wanted to be. I put it in front of my mind and go, I want to be the person that's out there running a marathon. And now I couldn't even walk around the block. So that's a big picture. That was a big distance to go, and go, what's one step I need to take in order to start walking that out? I want to be someone who has a lot of joy and peace. Okay. And so what do I need to do in order to start walking that out? And it started transforming the way that I even looked at food. I didn't really care before what I ate, because it was fun. It was enjoyable. I wanted to eat food for joy. And I started realizing, oh, wow, if I eat that food, it will cause my body to not feel good over time. And then I don't have joy when my body doesn't feel good. And so if I can now start to think of it as, this is going to provide me with nourishment and give me these other things, and I start to picture myself actually walking those things out, feeling good. My body is whole and healthy, full of energy, no injuries. It's not free of sickness. My immune system is strong. I've got joy bubbling up inside of me. My mind is clear. I don't have brain fog and I'm not fatigued. Then whoa, give me a massive plate of salad and I am good to go. Or, let me throw together all these foods that are nourishing. And it becomes exciting and it became exciting for me and it becomes exciting for you. And I've watched it happen as transformation takes place. And so how would it feel to give yourself permission to really love yourself and see loving yourself a little differently and seeing it as I'm going to see myself in the future looking better than I do right now. And what would it take? What are some steps that I can take to nourish myself, body, soul, and spirit, and to just pick one area and start to take steps on those? And what does that look like? You hear me keep asking, what does that look like? What does it feel like? Because those things our mind is so vivid in capturing how we are picturing ourselves. Do you believe that you can do it? Do you believe that you're worth it? That's a big one. That a lot of times we don't think about the value of our worth, that we are worth nourishing. We're worth taking the time to make a good meal, taking the time to spend good time on our body, on our mind, our emotions, our spirit, and walking that out with intention so that you can really thrive and create that environment and do the things in your heart, in your dreams to do. All right, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear some successes, any revelations you're having. You're amazing. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day. You're worth it. Bye, guys.